Howdy guys, welcome back to another one. In today's video, we're actually doing one of Josh's ideas he came up with a while back, and that would be to test out the traditional 9-pellet double-aught in different wads, pretty much all of the target wads that I have available to me, and see which one does the best. And those wads would be, starting with the first wad I ever got for 12 gauge, the Claybuster CB0118-12. That is a clone of the Winchester WAA-12, the 1 1/8 ounce wad. These are extremely common, which is probably the reason why I got it first. We are using nothing but Fiocchi hulls, which are straight wall. The reason I mention that is because this is a tapered wad, or tapered hull wad. You do have to flare out the gas seal, which I have already done, but it needs a little bit more. Next wad would be the Clay and Game A21. Moving along, these are already in the shells because all of them besides this one is the same, minus the wad. So, almost dropped that one. This one is the Downrange DRF3. That would stand for Downrange Federal 3, which is a clone of the Federal 12S3 wad. And speaking of that, this is the Claybuster clone of the Federal 12S3 called the CB12S3. I don't know the exact number for it, so I shouldn't have said that's what it's called. We refer to it as the Claybuster 12S3 clone. But these are nearly identical wads. The downrange is just more transparent, a little bit darker, and kind of shiny. Well, the Claybuster version actually has, maybe you can see them, yeah, ribs inside of the pedals, and that can hurt capacity, and it can hurt pellet size depending on how they're arranged in there. But I'll try to show it one more time. These do have ribs inside of the pedals. They are kind of hard to see. Let me pull another one out if I can find it and actually show you what the wad looks like. Here's one right here. You can actually see it now. They do have ribs inside of them. The downrange version does not have that. These are just, well, you can see molding lines there, sorta, but there's no ribs inside the pedals. These are completely straight. Turns out I have the next wad sitting out already too, and that would be the Downrange DRXL118, which looks like this. Very, very nice cobalt blue. This is actually one of the nicest looking target wads out there in my opinion. It's beautiful. Blue. Very, very vibrant blue. And it has a cool design in the base of the shot cup. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not, but it looks nice. Anyway, the last one is the, nope, I already covered it, the BP1220. I think I already covered it. If not, then the last one is the BP1220. So like I said, all of these are the exact same, minus the one with this wad. This is the Ballistic Products multi-metal 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch wad, which are discontinued. However, I think they are still available. Limited, offering, but these have a 4-pedal half cut on the wad and insanely rigid pedals. Like, it's super thick plastic. And this is a non-tox wad. Needless to say, I'm pretty sure this one is going to hold the absolute best pattern by far, due to it being non-tox and full-length, really, really rigid plastic. This should sort of mimic Federal's flight control. All of these are using this stuff right here. Relatively new to us. We haven't used a whole lot of it. 24. And the one that's getting this wad, again, the BPI multi-metal, using this stuff right here, which is one of Josh's favorites. 16. So, like I said earlier, new prime Fiocchi 2 3/4 inch clear, not that the color matters. 8mm head on it, brass height does not matter, and this isn't even brass, it's brass-plated steel. If you guys didn't know, brass height means absolutely nothing in modern shells anyway. It's just cosmetic. But get that in there. Now for the pellets, I said we're using double-aught, and well, that's half truth. We're using 32 cal which is what most factory double-aught is. It's never actually true 33 cal. It's almost always 32 cal. Anyway, we're using 9 pellets of it, stacked by 3s, because 32 cal actually stacks by 3s in most wads. Not all of them, but most. There's 6, most target wads, 9. And those 9 pellets comes up right there, the perfect stack height. Now, well, not now, we're not putting buffer in this. The ones that we are patterning will have the buffer. We'll have 2 of each. So, for instance, 2 of the A21 wads, 2 of the DRXL 118s, and the ones that we're going to pattern will have buffer. The others will be run over a chronograph to see the speed. We'll be doing these at 10 yards, which is a little bit longer home defense distance, personal protection, but I want to give these a chance to actually have some sort of noticeable difference in the spread. I feel like at 5 or 7 yards you wouldn't see much difference, but at 10 you will. So, because this one has no buffer, I don't really care if the crimp comes out good or not, so we'll go ahead and stick a pre-crimp on it. It should come out good regardless, but still. Pre-crimp looks just fine. Now the Rebacitor, I have it over here, that way you guys can better see it. It is a middle crimp, and it does this. Well, it kind of closed it up. It's supposed to create a dome. I'll try again. The reason I'm showing this one is simply because this is again a wad for a tapered hull. So I'm just going to pinch out the gas seal a little bit more with my needle nose pliers. If you don't want to bother with that, you can use a 1-inch square piece of paper towel or napkin, wax paper, whatever you have, and wrap that around the bottom of the wad and then seat it in your hull. And that'll also stop the powder from moving around. But there you go. Turn it upside down, shake it, give it a few taps. You can see the powder is not moving. It's sealed pretty well. That is how we typically do it. Now with this one, I like to add just a little bit of pressure to help the cushion section collapse just a little bit. It's going to do that when you crimp it anyway, but figured why not give it a helping hand. 9 more pellets of 32 cal, stacked by 3s. There's 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, no buffer in this one because the ones we fire at the patterning board will have the buffer. There's no sense in just wasting it over a chrono. And I know I have one sitting here, right here. This one will actually need a little bit of an overshot card. Turns out, where's it at? This one did too. Stack height was just a little bit low, but we will try to get that in here. It went in like that, now I can't make it sit flat. There we go, I got it. Pre-crimp. Needs a little bit more. Sometimes, you guys, you just have off days. There we go, that looks nice. Rebacitor. Hopefully this time it plays along. And it did. A little bit more. Alright, that one sort of did its job. These Fiocchis are hard to mess with sometimes. I wasn't having no trouble with them earlier, but of course when I get on camera, I'm having trouble with them. But that looks really good. No got BN2. This one did have the got BN2, but I'll do that off camera. But this looks pretty dang good. So for this last one, it's a little bit more involved. You got to use a couple extra components here, but just another 2 3/4 inch Fiocchi, the BPI multi-metal wad. Get that seated in there. Oh, I also have the gas seal of it pinched out a little bit because they're a little bit undersized. You can get powder migration with them, but make sure that's down. I actually pinched that out a little bit too much. Alright, it's down. All the powder is sealed. It looks kind of cool. Anyway, 2 1/4 inch felt 20 gauge wads to make a 1/2 inch of filler. You could also use fiber cushion, cork, whatever you have. Waxed hard card. That's not flat. I'm trying to get it flat. There we go. See what I mean, guys? You get on camera and things just stop cooperating. I had no trouble earlier. Now we need 9 pellets of 32 cal. I just dropped them in, let them find their own way. We are kind of wanting these to stack staggered, sort of like that right there. You kind of have two on top, but that's how Federal does it with their flight control, and Remington does it with their non-pellet double-aught, express buckshot. But just throw an overshot card on it, try to keep it flat. We're not going to use the Rabacitor this time. We're just going to go ahead and crimp it, because it seems the Rabacitor doesn't really like these Fiocchis. And I definitely need a little bit more of an overshot. That one kind of sunk into the empty space. Oops. Do this in real time, why not? Needle nose pliers, lift the crimp back up. Spin it around to flare it open. Take out the overshot card because it's not enough. And we will grab an actual 12 gauge overshot card, or in this case the waxed hard card, and just tear off a section of it. These don't come in sections of 3, but I tore off maybe about a 12 thou section of it, a little bit more than 10. But let's see if that solves our problem. Get that flat in there. Pre-crimp, final crimp. Nope, still needs a little bit more. The problem is, maybe you guys can see it, the overshot card is sinking into that empty space. I really have no idea how Remington and Federal gets their crimp to come out nice with such an empty space under it. They're not using an overshot card, it's just weird. Actually, I have an idea. Let's get that back in there, and then drop the other one on top of it. The stack height is right. There's just a big empty space right here because there's no pellets. Now let's give it a shot. That's better. Not perfect, but we can live with that for sure. Got BN2 to taper, although you can't see that at all. But the crimp is okay. Still dished in a little bit. I totally could have just left that as it was when I first crimped it. It would have been no problem, but that was kind of too ugly for my taste. To give you an example of what I was talking about earlier, this is one of the first ones I put together, and the crimp is about perfect on it. Looks like a factory shell. That's with the BP1220, by the way. And you go from that to stuff like that, or this, all because you get on camera. But again, the crimp doesn't matter, there's no buffer in it, the crimp is just there to hold the pellets in, and there's absolutely no way a pellet that big can fall out of such a small hole. Plus, these are getting shot in about 12 hours, so it doesn't matter. Anyway guys, it's a little bit past 3 in the morning here, so I guess I'll end this video. Please like and subscribe, we always appreciate that. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you. And if you want to, go check out our Patreon. It's as low as $1 a month, and you guys get early access to content. A link to that, as well as a link to our Instagram, Rumble, and merch store will be in the description below. But other than that, you guys take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one.